The lights were too bright for me, but they were perfect for her. That's how it always worked. I sat in the third row, clapping until my palms hurt, watching Sienna float across the stage in a silver dress that cost more than my first car. The host called her name, Album of the Year, and the whole room stood up. I stood up too. I always stood up for her. Sienna! Sienna! Over here! A reporter waved a microphone at her as she came down the steps, still glowing, still breathless. "That's my girl," I whispered to no one. The reporter caught her by the edge of the red carpet, cameras flashing like lightning. "Big night for you. Tell us, how does your husband handle all this? Award shows, fame, the spotlight." Sienna laughed. That laugh I used to love. "Honestly, he's just an ordinary guy. He doesn't really get any of this." She waved her hand toward the stage, the lights, the crowd. "But that's okay. Somebody has to hold down the fort while I'm out here living my dream, right?" The audience laughed with her. I felt my face go hot. "Ordinary guy." She said it like it was cute, like it was a compliment. "Daniel, you good?" Tom leaned over from the seat next to me, grinning like he hadn't just heard my wife call me nothing on national television. "I'm fine," I said. I wasn't. Nobody in that room knew what I actually did all day. Nobody knew about the spreadsheets, the strategy decks, the calls at midnight with executives who didn't know my name but trusted my numbers. To them, I was just the guy who carried Sienna's bags and smiled in the background of her photos. I hadn't always been background noise. I remembered our third date before any of this, before the record deal, before the tour buses and magazine covers. We sat on the hood of my car outside a diner that's closed now, sharing a milkshake because neither of us wanted to admit we were broke. "You're going to do something big one day," she'd said, staring at me like I was the interesting one. "I can feel it. You think in ways nobody else does. You're the one who's going to be famous," I told her. "I'm just going to be the guy cheering the loudest." "No," she said. "You're going to be somebody too. I just know it." I believed her then. I don't know when she stopped believing it. "Daniel." Tom nudged me again. "You sure you're good, man? People are staring." I looked around. A few people near us were glancing my way, smirking, whispering behind their programs. "Ordinary guy." It was already a headline in someone's head. "I'm going to get some air," I said, standing. "Want me to come?" "No. Stay. Watch the rest of the show." I walked up the aisle, past rows of people who didn't know me and now thought they did. Past a woman filming the stage on her phone, probably clipping Sienna's comment to post later. Past the security guard who nodded at me like he felt sorry for me. Backstage, the noise dropped to a low hum. I leaned against a cold concrete wall and closed my eyes. Just an ordinary guy. 5 years of managing her career behind the scenes while telling everyone I was in consulting. 5 years of missed dinners because I was closing deals that made her tours possible, deals she never asked about. 5 years of being told, gently at first, then not so gently, that I didn't need to be at every party, every interview, every red carpet, that I'd only make things complicated. And now this, on live television, in front of millions. 1 sentence, 6 seconds of airtime, and everything I'd built quietly for years got flattened into a joke. I thought about finding her after the show, asking why she'd say something like that without even glancing my way first. But I already knew how that conversation would go. She'd tell me I was overreacting. She'd told me that before, more than once. I pulled out my phone to text Priya, to vent, to say something before I said something I'd regret to Sienna's face. That's when it buzzed. Not a text. A call. A number I didn't recognize, area code from downtown, the kind of number that usually meant a scam or a wrong dial. I almost let it ring out. Instead, I answered. "Hello, Daniel Reyes?" The voice was calm, older, certain. "This is Marcus Whitfield. I think it's time we finally talked." "I'm sorry. Who is this?" I asked, pressing the phone tighter to my ear. "Marcus Whitfield, CEO of Whitfield Media Network." A pause, like he was letting the name sink in. "I run the company that's broadcasting your wife's award show right now." My stomach dropped. "Okay, why are you calling me?" "Because I know who you are, Daniel. Not the husband, the strategist." I froze against the concrete wall. I don't know what you're talking about. 2 years ago, someone using the name DR Consulting sent my struggling regional division a restructuring plan that saved us $11 million and 300 jobs. Last year, that same consultant redesigned our content licensing model. My own board didn't believe one person did all of that anonymously. His voice was calm, almost amused. I hired an investigator, not to expose you, to thank you. I couldn't speak. My hands started shaking. Mr. Whitfield, Marcus, please. Marcus, I never told anyone about that work. Not my wife, not my friends. How did you? You were careful, but not careful enough for someone who really wanted to find you. He let that sit for a second. I watched you tonight, Daniel. On the broadcast. I saw what your wife said. Heat rushed up my neck. You don't need to bring that up. I do, actually, because I think the timing matters. His tone shifted, sharper now, more direct. The world just watched a room full of people laugh at an ordinary guy. I know exactly how extraordinary that ordinary guy is. I'd like to meet you. Tonight. Before you go home. Tonight? Marcus. It's almost 11. I know what time it is. I also know you're standing backstage right now instead of celebrating with your wife. That tells me something. His voice softened, just slightly. 10 minutes, Daniel. Green Room B. I promise it'll be worth your night. The call ended before I could answer. I stood there staring at my phone, my heart pounding harder than it had all evening. 2 years. He'd known for 2 years and said nothing. Meanwhile, I'd sat in that audience for 2 years being introduced as Sienna's husband. Like I didn't have a name of my own. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. Priya. Daniel. Are you okay? Please tell me you're not still in that building. Priya. It's already everywhere. Hashtag ordinary guy is trending. People are making memes. Priya. I'm serious. Call me. I typed back with shaking thumbs. Me, I'm fine. Something weird just happened. I'll explain later. Priya. Weird how? Weirder than your wife humiliating you on live TV? Me, kind of, yeah. Priya. Daniel. What is going on? Me. The CEO of the network just called me. Personally. Said he knows about the consulting work. Wants to meet right now. There was a long pause before her next message came through. Priya, wait. What consulting work? The secret one you never talk about? Me, that one. Priya. How does he know about that? Me, no idea. He said he hired someone to find me. Said he wanted to thank me. Priya. Daniel, this feels like a movie. Are you sure this isn't a prank because of the trending thing? I looked around the hallway. Security guards. Sound equipment. A framed photo of tonight's lineup on the wall. Sienna's face smiling out from the middle of it. Me, it's not a prank. He knew details nobody outside the company should know. Priya. Okay, go. But text me the second you're out. And Daniel. Me, yeah? Priya. Don't let tonight make you feel small. You are not what she said you are. Me? Thanks, Priya. I mean it. Priya. I'll be up. Text me after. I don't care what time it is. I put my phone away and looked down the hallway toward the door marked Green Room B. My reflection caught in a glass display case. Same suit, same tired eyes, same guy who'd been sitting in row 3 an hour ago being laughed at. Nothing about me looked different. But something already felt different. 2 years of quiet work nobody knew about. One sentence on live television that the whole world already knew. I thought about Sienna somewhere in this building right now, probably surrounded by people telling her how great the interview went, how funny she was, how relatable. Nobody in that circle would ever ask if the joke had cost her anything. It had cost me plenty, and she didn't even know it yet. For the first time all night, my hands stopped shaking. I walked toward the door. The green room door was cracked open. I knocked once and pushed it the rest of the way. An older man stood by the window, gray suit, silver hair combed back, phone in one hand. He looked up and smiled like he'd been expecting me for years. Not minutes. Daniel Reyes. He crossed the room and shook my hand. Firm grip, steady eyes. Marcus Whitfield. Thank you for coming. You made it sound like I didn't have a choice. I made it sound urgent. There's a difference. He gestured to a chair. Sit, please. I sat. My legs still felt unsteady from the last hour. I'll get straight to it, Marcus said, sitting across from me. 2 years ago, our regional streaming division was bleeding money. 11 million a year heading toward collapse. Someone under the name DR Consulting sent us a restructuring proposal. No pitch meeting, no invoice up front. Just results. We used it. It worked. I remember, I said quietly. Last year, that same consultant restructured our licensing model and saved us another 6 million. My board wanted to give this person a permanent office. I wanted to give them a name. He leaned forward. It took my investigator 4 months to find you, Daniel. 4 months to trace a ghost. I didn't want credit, I said. I wanted it to work. That was the point. That's exactly why I'm here. Marcus's voice dropped, more serious now. Do you know how rare that is? Someone who does the work without needing the applause. I almost laughed, but it came out bitter instead. Apparently not rare enough for anyone to notice at home. Marcus studied me for a second. I saw the broadcast tonight. Everyone saw the broadcast tonight. Just an ordinary guy. He repeated it slowly, like he was testing the weight of it. Daniel, I've spent 30 years in this industry surrounded by people who talk a big game and deliver nothing. Loud personalities, empty results. You did the opposite. Quietly, twice, you saved parts of my company that louder people couldn't fix. So what does that mean for me right now? It means I'm not interested in loud anymore. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table. I'm restructuring our content division. New leadership, new direction. I want you as chairman. I stared at the folder without opening it. Chairman? Of what, exactly? Content strategy for the entire network. Including, he paused, watching my face carefully, the division that manages talent partnerships, tour deals, broadcast contracts. Took me a second to understand what he was really saying. You mean Sienna's division? I mean the division that just introduced your wife's next tour deal tonight, yes. He didn't blink. I'm not offering you this to spite anyone, Daniel. I'm offering it because you're the most qualified person I've found in a decade. What you do with the timing is up to you. My chest felt tight. Vindication and humiliation sat right next to each other, and I couldn't tell which one was louder. Why me? Really? Because talent fades, Daniel. Charisma fades. But people who build quietly and stay standing when the applause stops, that's who keeps a company alive. He tapped the folder. I don't want a chairman who needs a spotlight. I want one who doesn't need it and still shows up anyway. The door opened before I could answer. A woman in her 30s walked in, dark blazer, a stack of papers under her arm. Dad, legal needs the contracts signed before. She stopped, noticing me. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you had someone in here. Elena, this is Daniel Reyes, Marcus said. Our new chairman of content strategy. Assuming he says yes. Elena raised an eyebrow, clearly recalculating something in her head. The consultant? The one from the licensing deal. The same. She looked at me with something between curiosity and respect. Well, nice to finally put a face to the ghost. Elena also runs our talent relations arm, Marcus added. You two will be working closely together starting next week. Looking forward to it, Elena said, setting her papers down on a side table. Though half the tour department is still in the ballroom celebrating the deal we just signed with Sienna Cole's team. She said the name carefully, watching my reaction. Small world, huh? Smaller than you think, I said. Marcus slid the folder an inch closer to me. The offer doesn't expire, but I'd like an answer tonight. My board meets Thursday. I want your name on the agenda. I thought about the studio audience laughing an hour ago. I thought about 5 years of being introduced as somebody's husband instead of somebody. I thought about Priya's text. You are not what she said you are. I looked down at the folder still sitting untouched on the table, then back up at Marcus. Where do I sign? The lights were on when I got home. Voices too. I recognized one of them before I even opened the door. Sienna was on the couch, laptop balanced on her knees, laughing at something on the screen. Jordan sat across from her, tie loosened, jacket tossed over the armrest like he lived there. "There he is," Jordan said, not standing up. "The man of the hour." I set my keys down slowly. "Jordan, didn't expect to see you here. Just wrapping up some damage control." He said it lightly, like it was nothing. Sienna's numbers actually went up after the clip. People love an underdog moment. Underdog moment, I repeated. Sienna finally looked up from her laptop, phone still glowing in her other hand. "Babe, you would not believe how many views the clip already has. I posted a follow-up calling you my ordinary hero. Fans are obsessed." "You posted a follow-up?" "Yeah, look." She turned her phone toward me, scrolling through comments. "This is so cute. Relationship goals? He probably doesn't even care, lol. See? Everyone thinks it's sweet." "I don't think it's sweet, Sienna." That got her attention. She set the phone down. "Wait, are you actually upset about this? You called me ordinary, on live television, in front of millions of people, and then you turned it into content." "Daniel, it was a joke." She said it slowly, like I was the one being difficult. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to be relatable for the fans." It didn't feel like a joke sitting in that audience. Jordan cleared his throat. "For what it's worth, the engagement really has been incredible. Sometimes the most human moments are the ones that aren't planned." "Nobody asked you, Jordan." "Daniel." Sienna's voice sharpened. "Don't talk to him like that. He's just trying to help." "He's trying to help you, not me. Because I'm the one whose career depends on public image." She stood up now, arms crossed. "You act like I did this to hurt you, but honestly, Daniel, you're being a little sensitive right now." It was one sentence. One sentence that millions of people heard. And in 3 days, nobody will remember it. That's how this industry works. You'd know that if you actually paid attention to what I do instead of hiding behind your little consulting job. My little consulting job. If she only knew. I almost told her right there. The offer. The chairman title. The fact that her precious tour deal now technically ran through a division I was about to lead. But something in me held back. I wanted to see what she'd say first, without the weight of that news changing her tone. "Forget it," I said instead. "I'm going to bed." "Daniel, don't be like this." "Like what?" "Upset that my wife embarrassed me on national television and then monetized it." Jordan stood up, grabbing his jacket. "I should head out. Let you two talk." "Don't rush off on my account," I said. "No, really?" He glanced at Sienna, then back at me, that same easy smile still on his face. "Big day tomorrow anyway. Got some calls to make about the tour. At midnight. Time zones don't sleep, Daniel." He said it like a joke, but his eyes didn't quite match the tone. He gave me a tight smile and slipped past me toward the door. Sienna didn't walk him out. She used to walk everyone out. Every guest, every producer, every stranger who wandered into our house for a meeting. Tonight she just watched me instead, arms still crossed, waiting for me to apologize for being upset. I didn't. "I have an early morning," I said, heading for the stairs. "You're really not going to talk about this?" "Not tonight." "Fine. Be upset. I have a photo shoot at 7, so I need actual sleep, not another argument about a joke nobody else even cared about." I stopped halfway up the stairs. "Nobody else has to live with it, Sienna." "I do." She didn't answer that. She just picked her phone back up, thumb already scrolling. I climbed the rest of the stairs without looking back, my own phone heavy in my pocket with a folder full of contracts I hadn't told her about yet. Tomorrow I decided I'd watch her a little closer, her Jordan, all of it. Tonight, I just wanted the silence, and the one thing in this house that hadn't lied to me all night. The quiet. Priya was already at the diner when I got there, 2 coffees on the table, one pushed toward my usual seat. Grace slid in beside her a minute later, still in her work badge from the hospital. "Okay," Grace said, dropping her bag. "Start talking." Priya said it was serious. "It's a lot," I said. "We've got time," Priya said. Start with the part you haven't told anyone. I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup, not drinking it. Marcus Whitfield offered me chairman of content strategy. The whole network, including the division that just signed Sienna's tour deal. Grace's mouth actually fell open. Wait, the same network that aired the Ordinary Guy clip. The same one. Daniel. Priya set her cup down slowly. That's not a promotion. That's poetic justice with a paycheck. I haven't told Sienna yet. Why not? Grace asked. Because I want to see how she treats me without knowing. If I tell her now, everything changes. She'll be nice because of the title, not because she actually cares. Priya nodded slowly, but something in her face shifted. She looked down at her coffee, then back up at me. There's something else you should know, she said. And I should have told you sooner. What? I've been holding on to this for months, and I didn't know how to say it without it blowing everything up. My stomach tightened. Priya, just say it. I saw Sienna and Jordan together. Not at work. At that little restaurant on 5th, the one with the private booths in the back. Twice. The diner noise seemed to fade out for a second. When? First time was back in March. I told myself it was probably a work dinner. But then I saw them again in June. Same booth. She had her hand on his arm, Daniel. It wasn't a work dinner. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to blow up your marriage over a hunch. Priya's voice cracked slightly. I kept telling myself I was wrong, that it was innocent. But after tonight, after what she said on live TV, after watching him sit in your living room at midnight like he owns the place, I can't stay quiet anymore. Do you think she loves him? I asked, and hated how small my voice sounded. I think she loves attention, Priya said carefully. And right now Jordan gives her more of it than you do. That's not the same as love, Daniel. But it's dangerous in its own way. Grace reached over and grabbed my hand. Daniel, talk to us. What are you feeling right now? I sat there for a second, letting it all settle. The humiliation, the job offer, Jordan's smug smile on my couch, the 5 years of feeling like background noise in my own marriage. Honestly, I said, I feel like I've been sleepwalking for years, and I just woke up. So what do you want to do? Grace asked. Confront her? Confront him? Part of me wants to walk in there tonight and demand answers. Demand she explain the affair, the comment, all of it. And the other part? Priya asked. The other part wants to wait. Watch. Let her keep showing me exactly who she is without me tipping my hand. I took a slow breath. If I explode right now, she'll spin it. She'll make herself the victim. Tell everyone I overreacted. Tell her fans I'm controlling. I've seen her do it before. So you're saying you want proof? Grace said. I'm saying I want the truth to come out on its own. Quietly, the way I've built everything else. Priya studied me for a long moment. That's different from you, Daniel. The old you would have confronted her the second I said Jordan's name. The old me also let a room full of strangers laugh at him tonight and said nothing. I said, I'm done being that guy. Grace squeezed my hand tighter. Whatever you decide, we're behind you. Both of us. I know. I finally took a sip of the coffee, cold now, but I didn't care. I'm not going to react tonight. I'm going to observe, gather everything. And when the moment comes, I'll already know exactly what to do. Priya raised her cup slightly, like a quiet toast. To watching quietly, then. To watching quietly, I repeated, and for the first time all night, it didn't feel like weakness. Felt like control. Grace watched me over the rim of her own cup. Just promise me one thing. What's that? When the moment comes, and it will, don't shrink back down. Not for her, not for anyone. I won't, I said, and for once I actually believed it. Sienna's manager posted the announcement at 9 in the morning. By 9:15, she was screaming about it from the kitchen. Daniel, come look at this. I walked in still buttoning my shirt for my meeting with Marcus. What's going on? She shoved her phone in my face. A press release, her name in bold letters. Sienna co-signs historic tour deal with Whitfield Media Network. Isn't this incredible? Biggest deal of my career, Daniel. Whitfield doesn't sign just anyone. Congratulations, I said, keeping my voice even. She had no idea I'd be sitting across from Marcus in an hour, finalizing the exact role that would put her contract under my authority. You don't sound very excited. I'm excited for you. You could try showing it a little more. She set the phone down, studying me. You've been weird all week. Quiet, even for you. I've had a lot on my mind. Like what? Work stuff, I said. Nothing you need to worry about. She frowned but let it go, distracted by another notification buzzing on her phone. I watched her face shift as she read it, a flicker of tension crossing over the excitement from a minute ago. What is it? Nothing. Just fans being fans. She turned the screen away from me too fast. Sienna. It's nothing, Daniel. I let it drop, grabbed my keys, and left for the office. Marcus's office was quiet compared to the chaos at home. Elena sat across from me with a folder of press clippings. Rachel Voss reached out to our media team this morning, Elena said. Investigative journalist, does a lot of entertainment exposés. She's asking questions about Sienna Cole and Jordan Cole's relationship. Apparently some fans spotted them at a restaurant, matched the booth to old paparazzi shots from months ago. Same restaurant Priya mentioned, I said quietly. You know something about this? Marcus asked. Let's just say I'm not shocked. Elena slid the folder toward me. Voss wants a comment from the network about the tour deal, given the timing. We haven't responded yet. Don't, I said. Not until my appointment is official Thursday. I don't want this looking like retaliation. Marcus nodded slowly. Smart. Let the story move on its own. We stay neutral until you're formally seated. Agreed. For what it's worth, Elena said. The board already approved your nomination early. It's basically a formality at this point. That fast? I asked. Marcus doesn't like waiting once he's made up his mind, Elena said, glancing at her father with a small smile. Neither do I, honestly. We looked at your numbers again this morning. Nobody on the current team is even close. Marcus stood, extending his hand. Welcome to the company, Chairman Reyes. I shook it, the words landing strange and heavy at the same time. Thank you, Marcus. By the time I got home that evening, Sienna was pacing the living room, phone pressed to her ear. No, I don't know how they got that photo. It was months ago, it doesn't mean anything. A pause. Jordan, calm down, it's fine. Nobody's going to believe some blogger. She hung up and jumped when she saw me standing in the doorway. Daniel, I didn't hear you come in. Everything okay? Fine. Just work stuff. She said it too fast. The same words I'd used on her that morning, except she didn't say it half as convincingly. You seem tense. I'm not tense. I'm just... She stopped herself, exhaled hard. There's some stupid rumor going around online. About me and Jordan. It's nothing. What kind of rumor? The kind that isn't true, Daniel. Her voice sharpened fast, defensive in a way that told me more than any confession could. Why does it matter to you anyway? Because you're my wife. Then trust me when I say it's nothing. I studied her for a second, the way her eyes wouldn't quite hold mine, the way her hands kept fidgeting with her phone case. Okay, I said simply. I trust you. I didn't. Not anymore. But I wanted her to think I did, at least for a little while longer. Good, she said, relaxing slightly, because the last thing I need right now is more drama. Right? I said. The last thing either of us needs. She didn't catch the second meaning behind that. She headed up the stairs, phone already back in her hand, and I stood there a moment longer, listening to the house settle around me. Two secrets under one roof now, hers unraveling loudly, mine still folded quiet in my chest, waiting for Thursday. The press room was packed, cameras lined up in rows, reporters murmuring behind a velvet rope. I stood backstage, straightening my jacket, while Elena adjusted the microphone clip on my collar. Nervous? She asked. A little. Don't be. You've earned this. Marcus appeared beside me, scanning the crowd through a gap in the curtain. She's out there. Row 2? next to Jordan. My stomach tightened. Sienna's here? Her team RSVP'd weeks ago, before we announced you. Standard industry event for them. They had no idea the announcement was you. He gave me a small, knowing smile. I thought you'd want to know before you walked out. Thank you, I said, for the warning. Ready? Elena asked. I took one last breath. Ready. The curtain pulled back. Applause rippled through the room as I stepped onto the stage, lights blinding for a second before my eyes adjusted. I scanned the crowd out of habit and found her almost instantly. Row 2. Sienna. Phone lowered halfway from her hand, staring at me like she was trying to solve a puzzle that didn't make sense. Marcus stepped up to the podium first. Thank you all for coming. Today, Whitfield Media Network is proud to announce a new era in our content strategy division. He paused for effect, glancing back at me. Please welcome our new chairman of content strategy, Daniel Reyes. The applause hit harder this time, real, sustained. From somewhere near the back, I heard a familiar voice shout over the crowd. That's my guy. Let's go, Daniel. I couldn't help but smile. Tom, of course. I stepped up to the podium, adjusting the microphone. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you all for being here. A reporter in the front row raised her hand immediately. Mr. Reyes, can you tell us about your background? Many of us are hearing your name for the first time today. I've worked in strategy consulting for the network for the past 2 years, I said, quietly by choice. I've always believed good work speaks louder than good publicity. Another reporter stood. Some might say that's an unusual approach in this industry. Maybe, I said, but I've found that people who need constant attention to prove their worth usually don't have much substance behind it. I'd rather build something real. I didn't look at Sienna when I said it. I didn't need to. I felt the shift in the room anyway, a ripple of reporters glancing toward row 2, connecting names in real time. Mr. Reyes, a third reporter called out, your new division will oversee talent partnerships and tour contracts, correct? Including Sienna Cole's recently announced deal. That's correct, I said evenly. I'll be reviewing all active contracts under the division starting this week. I finally let my eyes land on her. Sienna's face had gone pale, her mouth slightly open. Jordan sat beside her, jaw tight, shifting in his seat like the chair had suddenly gotten too small for him. Any comment on working directly with your wife's team? The reporter pressed. I believe in fairness, I said. Every partner in this division will be reviewed the same way. No exceptions. A murmur ran through the crowd. I could see Jordan lean toward Sienna, whispering something urgent. She didn't respond, still staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time in years. Marcus glanced my way, a subtle nod telling me I'd handled it well. I held my ground at the podium, hands steady now, the same hands that had been shaking backstage a week ago. One more question, Marcus said, stepping back toward the mic. We'll open the floor briefly. A younger reporter near the front raised her hand. Mr. Reyes, last week your wife referred to you publicly as an ordinary guy. Any response to that? Now that you're standing here as chairman. The room went quiet. Even Tom stopped cheering, waiting. I looked out at the crowd, then let my eyes settle one more time on Sienna. I think ordinary gets misunderstood, I said. Ordinary people are the ones who show up every day without needing applause for it. I'm proud to be exactly that. The applause that followed was louder than anything from that award show a week ago. Tom's voice rose above it again, whooping from the back. I didn't smile for the cameras. I smiled because, for the first time in years, the applause actually felt like mine. As I stepped back from the podium, I glanced once more toward row 2. Sienna hadn't moved. Jordan had already pulled his phone out, thumb moving fast across the screen, panic written all over his face. Whatever came next, I had a feeling it was already starting. The story dropped at 7 in the morning, and by 7:15 my phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Rachel Voss exposes pop star Sienna Cole's secret affair with manager Jordan Cole, timeline of Betrayal. I read the headline twice before Sienna came pounding down the stairs. Hair a mess, phone clutched so tight her knuckles were white. Daniel, Daniel, you have to help me. Help you with what? The story. Rachel Voss's story. It's everywhere. She shoved her phone toward me like I hadn't already seen it. My tour deal is under review this week. If this hits before the contracts finalize, they'll pull the whole thing. That's a real possibility, yes? You have to fix it. Her voice cracked, desperate now. You're chairman. You control the review. Just delay it. Push it back a few weeks until this dies down. You want me to manipulate a business decision to protect you. I want you to protect us, Daniel. Our life. Everything we've built. We haven't built anything together in years, Sienna. You built a career. I built everything quietly behind it. Her face twisted. So this is revenge? You're going to let my career burn because you're still mad about one comment. This isn't about the comment. I kept my voice level calm, the way I'd learned to be in every boardroom I'd ever sat in. This is about you having an affair with your manager while telling millions of people I was the ordinary one holding you back. It's not what it looks like. Rachel Voss has photos, texts, hotel records. What exactly am I supposed to think it looks like? She sat down hard on the couch, tears finally breaking through. Please, Daniel. If this deal falls through, everything I've worked for is gone. My reputation, my career, all of it. And what about our marriage? What was that worth to you? She didn't answer. That silence told me everything I needed. I finally understand something, I said quietly. For years I thought my worth depended on you seeing me, needing me. I built an entire secret career just so I'd have something that was mine, because everything else felt like it belonged to you. But I don't need your validation anymore, Sienna. I haven't for a while now. I just didn't realize it until this week. So that's it? You're just going to let me lose everything? I'm going to let the review board do its job, fairly, the same way it would for anyone else. The doorbell rang before she could respond. She wiped her face fast and answered it, and I heard her mother's voice before I even saw her. Sienna, sweetheart. I came as soon as I saw the news. Deborah Cole swept into the living room, designer sunglasses pushed up into her hair, eyes immediately landing on me. Daniel, good you're here too. Deborah, we need to talk about damage control. She sat down without being asked, folding her hands like she was chairing a meeting. Daniel, you're in a position to help fix this quietly. Push the review, issue a statement supporting Sienna. Let the story blow over. I'm not going to do that. Excuse me? I said I'm not going to interfere with the review. It'll proceed fairly, based on the facts, same as any other contract. Deborah's expression hardened instantly. Do you understand what you're doing to this family's image? To Sienna's career? I understand exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing my job. You could ruin her. She did that herself, I said. I'm just not going to lie for her. After everything this family has given you, given me, I almost laughed. Deborah, I've spent 5 years being introduced as somebody's husband while quietly saving companies nobody knew I touched. Your family didn't give me anything. I built what I have on my own, in silence, while everyone around me assumed I had nothing to offer. You always were too proud for your own good, Deborah snapped. Maybe. Or maybe I just finally stopped shrinking myself to fit into a room that never wanted me in the first place. Sienna sat frozen on the couch, tears streaking down her face, saying nothing. I think it's time you both leave, I said. I have a review to finish. Deborah stood, furious, grabbing her purse. You'll regret this, Daniel. Maybe, I said, but at least it'll finally be my own decision. She stormed out. Sienna lingered a second longer, looking at me like she was hoping I'd change my mind. I didn't. Goodbye, Sienna, I said. And this time, I meant it completely. Tour's officially dead, Elena said, sliding into the seat across from me. Sponsors pulled out this morning. 3 of them in 1 hour. Because of the scandal, I said. Not a question. Because of the scandal, she confirmed. Nobody wants their brand attached to an affair story right now. It's not personal, it's just business. I never asked for it to be personal. I know. That's the part people don't believe when I tell them. She closed her folder. Are you going to be okay? I think so, I said. It's strange. I thought this would feel like winning. And it doesn't? It feels like it's just over, I said. That's different. Sienna signed the papers 3 weeks later. No press conference, no leaked photos, nothing dramatic. Just a quiet office, a lawyer on each side, and 2 people who used to know each other. You could have made this so much worse for me, she said, pen still in her hand. I know. Jordan thought you would. He kept waiting for you to leak something to Rachel Voss. Use your position to bury us. That was never the plan, I said. I didn't need to bury anyone. The truth did that on its own. She looked down at the papers. I really am sorry, Daniel, for what I said that night. I didn't think it would matter that much. It did, I said. But I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Done being ordinary? She asked, almost smiling. Done letting anyone decide what that word means for me. She signed the last page and slid it across the table. I signed mine. Good luck, Sienna. You too, Daniel. She paused at the door. For what it's worth, I think you're going to be really good at this job. I already am, I said, not unkindly. Just true. For months later, I stood at the head of the conference table, watching my team pull up quarterly numbers on the big screen. Grace and Priya sat near the back, guests for the day, both grinning like they'd snuck into somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Chairman Reyes, Elena said, the numbers on the new streaming initiative are up 18% since launch. Good work, everyone, I said. Let's build on that next quarter. The room emptied out slowly, people nodding at me on their way past, calling me by name like it was normal now, like I'd always belonged in this seat. Grace caught my arm as I walked toward her. You looked so comfortable up there. Did I? Like you'd been doing it for years, Priya said. Not 4 months. Maybe I have been, I said. Just nobody was watching before. They're watching now, Grace said, smiling. I glanced back at the empty conference room, chairs still pushed out from where people had been sitting minutes ago. I thought about that night at the awards show, sitting in row 3, clapping until my hands hurt for someone who didn't think I was worth clapping for. Just an ordinary guy, she'd said. She wasn't wrong. I was ordinary. I still am. I'm the guy who shows up early and stays late without needing anyone to notice. The guy who does the work quietly because the work matters more than the applause. The guy who didn't burn anything down for revenge, because I didn't need to. I just stopped shrinking myself to fit into somebody else's spotlight. You okay? Priya asked, noticing I'd gone quiet. Yeah, I said. I'm good. And I meant it fully, for the first time in years. You know, Grace said, Mom asked about you the other day. Said she saw your name in some business magazine. What did you tell her? I told her you finally figured out you were never ordinary. You just never had anyone worth showing it to. I laughed, the first easy laugh I'd had in weeks. That's generous. It's true, Priya said. You just needed the right room. Ordinary was never the insult Sienna thought it was. Ordinary was just the truth about who I'd always been, standing quietly behind the noise, waiting for the moment I'd finally stop apologizing for it. I walked out of that conference room with Grace on one side and Priya on the other, and for once I didn't feel like background noise in anyone's story. I felt like exactly who I was supposed to be, just an ordinary guy, still standing, still quiet, still finally exactly enough.